Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, my brand new channel. I was really encouraged and felt really lucky that I started telling a few people that I was starting a channel, mainly in communities that I've been active on in Instagram and on YouTube. I felt like I got really supportive and nice comments. Even though I said before that I feel like I'm going to talk about more mental health stuff a little bit further down the line, I also felt like those were the communities that I went to immediately to say like, hey, I'm starting a channel, do you want to like support each other? And I felt like definitely the most interest was in kind of talking about the issues that got me into YouTube in the first place. So for that reason, I decided to just take the plunge. And basically the main thing that I feel like I have experience with and that I can speak to is having issues with eating. I never had a diagnosed eating disorder, but I definitely have very disordered eating behaviors for a significant amount of time, like over a year. One video that I felt like I really wanted to make was about fear foods. And I think, first of all, a disclaimer, I am not intending this to be advice or kind of a how to recover video in any way. Everyone has to recover differently, but I'm just sharing my own experience because I know I found it helpful just to hear other people's stories when I was going through the worst part of my issues. So that's my disclaimer. So I wanted to make a video about fear foods. I think people have fear foods for different reasons. Everybody is kind of most worried about different things. You can be scared of fats, you can be scared of sugar, you can be scared of just high volume foods or high water content foods, high salt. For me, the main things that were fear foods for me were fats and then carbs, not because I was scared that carbs were so high density, but because I was scared that I wouldn't be able to stop eating them because I liked them so much, and combined with the fact that I was usually very, very hungry. So the first video I wanted to make was how some foods that helped me start feeling more comfortable with healthy fats. So for me, I was scared of fats mainly because I felt like they were so dense in calories that if I were to eat that food in a normal amount, I just wouldn't feel full, and then I would end up going over my calorie budget, which would be a bad thing. So the foods that I wanted to talk about are things that I found came in small packages that I knew exactly what I was getting, and it didn't taste like super oily or super dense. It just tasted healthy, and I knew that it would actually fill me up so that I wouldn't end up going overboard. These are just some foods that started to get me okay with the idea of fats, and I guess I'll just jump into them. The first food I wanted to talk about is this yogurt, Fage 2%. And sometimes I'll buy 2%, sometimes I'll buy the whole fat. But these are really, really good. They taste way better than the non-fat ones, just in terms of creaminess. And they really make you full. Like, you eat one of these, it's not like a meal, of course, but for like an afternoon snack after class, to tie yourself over between lunch and dinner. Like, one of these was really good. It's also really portable. And I liked how, like, instead of buying a big tub of yogurt and never knowing quite how much I'm scooping out, I love the yogurt cups. These don't have like a ton of fat in them by any means, but it was just a good way to like get some fat in my diet and also just stay used to that kind of creamy milk fat texture without it being always associated with like scary unknown amounts of like calories that I would just try to avoid at all costs. The second thing I loved were these little Baby Bell cheeses. Sorry, that was upside down. And they come in different flavors. This one's mozzarella, which was my favorite. And There's actually a reduced fat version of this too, but I really liked the full fat version better, and it was only like 10 or 20 more calories per cheese thing. So I think that was kind of helpful for me just to get used to like buying full fat things instead of constantly looking for the non-fat or the low-fat option. And these are also surprisingly like very filling, and it takes a while to eat. Like you could supposedly like pop the whole thing in your mouth, but I would never do that. Like I would just kind of like nibble on it, and it would take a pretty solid amount of time. And it was just really tasty. Like it's really yummy. One third thing I want to talk about are avocados. This is sadly a really not ripe avocado. But I loved eating these on avocado toast. Just like slice it up and like smear it on a piece of toast with like some salt and pepper, like freshly ground salt and pepper, and some sriracha sauce. Oh, so good. One thing I started to do recently is like take half an avocado and slice it and put it on a corn tortilla, a warmed corn tortilla in the microwave, with some refried beans and some salsa and some whatever veggies else you want to throw in there. You can put some shredded cheese in there if you want. And it's really yummy. It's balanced and it fills you up. And the avocado just lends like so much creaminess. Okay, this one's kind of silly. This is a freaking huge jar of peanut butter, but peanut butter was something that actually helped me to get more comfortable with fats, because I wasn't, because peanut butter is something that I was initially pretty scared of, because the serving size is like 2 tablespoons, and that's like 200 calories, which to me was like, you could eat a whole snack for 200 calories. Why would you have just like peanut butter? But it's kind of like the cheese in that like you can take a spoonful of peanut butter, and for me, I just like to nibble on things, so you can take a fair amount of time to eat it. And if you do that, you realize like, at least for me, I would never eat like 2 tablespoons of peanut butter. I would have like maybe half a tablespoon and feel like, okay, that's enough. But it got me used to the idea that like I can actually, my own appetite will regulate how much peanut butter I want to eat. I'm not in danger of accidentally consuming like 1,000 calories of peanut butter. So, yeah, that was really good. And it's also really creamy and tasty. It like, every time I ate it, it like brought me back to childhood and like peanut butter jelly sandwiches. And it was just comforting and nice. And one of those things that like when I started reintroducing this into my diet, I was like, man, what have I been missing? The reason this jar is so huge is because my husband eats so much peanut butter. He is the kind of person that like when he is concentrating on a project or working really hard and he doesn't want to be bothered with like food, he will just go to the kitchen every few hours and just eat like a spoonful of peanut butter, and he's like, calorically, I'm set. I don't need to bother. And I'm like, but you've had nothing but peanut butter all day. So the last food I wanted to talk about was chocolate, and unfortunately I don't have any chocolate in the house because someone ate it all, but I'm definitely more of a savory person than a sweet person, so chocolate was never the things I was most concerned about myself like overdoing it on. Like those things were always more like carby things like chips and pretzels, and I'll talk more about those things in my next video. But at the same time, I also still I was uncomfortable with chocolate and how much sugar it had and how much fat it had. One type of chocolate that really kind of helped me to like overcome that was the endangered species chocolate. But it's really delicious. It comes in squares that are like just the right size for me. You know how some chocolate bars come in like big blocks. But it comes in just like perfect little squares, and I would have like one of those with my morning coffee. And it would just be like a perfect little bite of sweetness to go with my coffee. Ooh, and I had one more quick one. This is an egg. And I always really liked eggs, like as a kid. They're in a lot of Korean dishes in various forms. But I definitely did go through a phase where I was scared of the fat in the egg and the cholesterol, especially in the yolk. And I would try to discard the yolks as much as possible and only eat the whites. But I actually realized pretty quickly that for me at least, eating like 3 or 4 egg whites is calorically pretty similar to like eating an entire egg. And for me, the whole egg actually kept me a lot fuller. It made me more satisfied. It tasted so much better. This was one way that like an egg comes in like a cute little package. You know exactly how much you're getting. It's one egg. At first, I would just like hard boil these, so I didn't add any extra oil or anything, and just eat it with like dipping it in some salt and pepper, which is what I would do as a kid. And then eggs are just so great. You can scramble them, you can poach them, you can like, there's just endless. And these are always a staple in my fridge. And I think a lot of these were just, a lot of these foods that I've just talked about helped me while I was having most of my issues with food, to feel like I don't have to deprive myself. I don't have to cut all these things completely out of my diet. And having these foods there to kind of anchor me and still feel like, yes, I can still have cheese, I can still have chocolate, etc. It kept like the door open for me to keep introducing new foods, if that makes any sense. So that's all for this video. I do want to make my next video, I already have planned. It will be about my other main category of fear foods, which were foods that I was worried would trigger me to binge. And so stay tuned, please keep watching. Let me know if there's anything else, if there's other topics that you want to hear about. That's all for me. Thanks. Bye.